So I want to ask you guys a question. Where are you at? What are you doing when you have your most brilliant, most creative ideas? I got one laugh, so it means he's on the toilet. Okay, running, okay. What else? Vacation, working out, walking.
In my bed.
Okay, in your bed.
With a cocktail.
Yep. Okay, so I've asked this question to literally thousands of people in about 17 different countries in the last 3 years. So my research is leadership development, thinking outside the box, things like that. It's kind of what I do. I've asked this question and I get those same answers everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, somebody says running, walking, having a cocktail, in my bed, in the shower, on the toilet. Okay, every time I get those same answers. It dawned on me in a hotel in South Africa one evening as I was sitting there preparing to do a talk at the university there that, I've asked that question to literally thousands of people. Everyone says the same thing every time, and no one has ever said to me, not once, at work. No one has ever said or suggested or even implied that I have brilliant ideas when someone's paying me to solve a problem. When someone is paying me to have a good idea. It doesn't exist. They don't do it. And I begin to think about that, and I begin to wonder, why is it that we have our best ideas, our most creative ideas, at the most inopportune times? We've all experienced the idea we're having an exchange with somebody, and we have this interaction, and we think of the perfect thing to say later, after the conversation is over, when we're walking away. And I'm wondering, what is this about? So I began to do some research and investigating that concept, and I started following up my question with, all right, then what are you thinking about when you have these great ideas? When you're on your run, when you're in the shower, when you're about ready to fall asleep, what are you thinking about? And I would get the same answer then too. Everybody said nothing. And I see heads nodding. Everybody said nothing, and I began to wonder, I said, I don't think that's actually true. You're not thinking about nothing. You're doing something like this, is what I do, and it's probably what you do, is you're wondering, you're on your run, you're on your walk, and you're thinking about what you have to do tomorrow. What you do tomorrow triggers a thought about what you did yesterday. What you did yesterday triggers a thought about what grandma told you when you were 12 years old on your way to Sunday school, which triggers a memory of a vacation you had when you were a young age, which reminds you of a vacation you want to take next year, which reminds you of the time that your dad did that stupid thing on his vacation with that stupid shirt on that you hated that he wore all the time. And then you remember, oh, that stupid shirt, I got to pick up my dry cleaning from the laundry. And you're all over the map like that. You're forward, you're backward, you're in the present, you're in the now, you're in the future, you're in the past, you're everywhere, and in the middle of that, this great idea just seems to fall out of nowhere into your lap. Is that what happens? That's typically what happens. We typically are all over the place. We're thinking about everything. We're not thinking about nothing. We're thinking about everything, and because it's haphazard, disorganized, we don't really give it much credit. And what we found out, and what I found out, is we call that 3D thinking free fall. And 3D thinking is about thinking about the past, the present, and the future simultaneously in a single moment. Most of us, when we try to become creative, when we try to generate an idea, when we try to understand something, we compartmentalize our experiences into different segments of time. Most of us will go to our past and history as the most viable, most reliable source of information for ideas, or for behavioral cues. What should I do in this situation? Well, last time I said this, it got me slapped at the cocktail party, so I better not say that this time. Let me try something else. And we use the past so often to inform what we do right now, and that's fine to do. However, it's a mistake if that's all you do, because we are beings who are made up of more than just our past. We are also made up of what's going on right now. The present moment in time is a very crucial point in what, matter of fact, it's the most important. Today is the day that things happen. When people have these great ideas, when people have these revelations, it's right now in time. The past is a figment of your imagination. The past isn't real. It was real, but it's not real, but it shapes who we are today. But so is the future. If we live our life thinking I am only a product of my past, you're living half a life. The quality that you live, the ideas that you have, the problems you're able to solve are half of what you're able to do if you're only thinking about, I'm a product of what I decided yesterday, when in fact, what you decided yesterday brings you to this spot, space, and time, but also there is a purpose out there, a destiny, as it were, a future, what I call foresight in my book, that also is pulling you into this present moment. We are made up of the past decisions we make and the future aspirations of who we're going to be. And if we're only ever thinking about the past and how the past works, we're never really going to be able to see where we're going. And if you think about it, that's really a revolutionary idea, because most of us think, I am here in this moment in time because of what I did yesterday, not realizing that there's something out here in the future that I also need to be thinking about, that also is what Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman calls anticipated memories, which is all the future is an anticipated memory. We have past memories and anticipated memories, and both of those converge together to create insight. Insight is what I need to know right here, right now, in real time to solve the problem that's in front of me today. And it doesn't happen through a supernatural woo-hoo flash of brilliance. It happens because we take the experiences we had from our past, which feed into our present. It helps us we take the future of who I want to be, who I can become, who I believe that I'm going to be, who people have spoken positive words over my life and positive things into my life, and what I believe is part of my purpose and destiny. That is also a big part of who I am and where I need to be. And if I want to get there, I've got to go through this process. So I pull my future into my present, and I pull my past into my present, and when they converge together, I have insight. That's what's happening when we have our brilliant ideas. We're increasing our reservoir of experiences. Because what we do, why do we make the same mistakes twice? Diana said it a minute ago, why do I fight with my husband about the same thing all the time? That's not unique to her, trust me. I've been married 24 years, and I fight with my wife for the same thing for the last 24 years, over and over. It's like a broken record. Why do I make the same mistakes over and over again? It's because when we learn a lesson, the human brain, when we learn a lesson through our experiences, we file that lesson away in a particular file in our brain. And that file is filed according to a system called context. Where was I at when I learned this lesson? And I file it there. So when I'm at work and I say something rude and inappropriate to a female colleague that gets me slapped across the face, I make a mental note. Don't say that again. That was stupid. She didn't appreciate that, and I learn all kinds of lessons about that. And then 2 weeks later, I'm at a cocktail party, and I get slapped for saying the same thing again to someone else. And I realize, as soon as I get slapped, I realize, oh, moron, you knew better. You shouldn't have said that. You said the same thing 2 weeks ago and got slapped for it then. What makes you think you could say it now? The reason that happens is because, when I was at work, I filed the lesson away in my work file. And when I'm in a cocktail party, I put my work file away. I'm there at the cocktail party to forget about my work file. So I don't access my work file. That's a mistake. That's contextualizing our lives. And we think we have to do that to manage what's going on, and we really don't. And if you study quantum physics at all, you'll realize it's absolutely not necessary or true at all. You can actually be in multiple dimensions at the same time, which is a whole nother talk for another time, which is a lot of fun, okay? Yeah, the Apostle Paul said, I am here and also in Christ. And even if you're a student of the Bible at all, you will see the Bible is full of quantum reality, of being two places at once. Anyway, that's another story. So this is going on here, and what we do is we file these memories away, and then when we're in a situation, we don't access it. But see, when you're on your run, when you're in the shower, and you have this great idea, what you're doing here that you're not doing anywhere else is you have all your files open. And you're on your jog, and you just let all your files fall open, and you're looking at files from 1972, you're looking at files from 1969, you're looking at files from 2023, you're looking at files that haven't even happened yet. You're looking at all these files, all these different places, your first job, your second job, what grandma taught you, what you learned in Sunday school class, what you learned about your neighbor, your first wife, whatever, you learn and all these things are out, and you get this great idea because the reservoir of experiences you are drawing from has dramatically improved. You have widened the resources that you're drawing from input. This is why whiteboard sessions, brainstorming sessions, and all this, when they're done right, is really valuable. Chaos chaos is the most valuable thing you can introduce into your life to get you to think like you've never thought before. And that's what this is about, okay? 3D thinking, thinking in 3 dimensions. So I wrote this book, Contextual Intelligence, How Thinking in 3D Can Help You Navigate Complexity, Uncertainty, and Ambiguity. It won Leadership Book of the Year a few years ago for innovation and cutting edge perspective because of this idea that I'm talking to you about today. And I've been very fortunate to be able to travel all over the world talking about it just because it's some knucklehead self-published a book and somebody liked it, you know. And so it kind of evolved into this thing. And so now I do these talks, and it's really interesting and a lot of fun for me. But I want to talk about where that genesis comes from. So that idea of 3D thinking, free fall, is related to a concept we call in academics tacit knowledge. So tacit knowledge are the things that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt are true. You know they're true, you've seen it happen, you've got the proof of it, you know this is reality, you know this is true, but if somebody asks you, how did you learn that, or where did you pick that up, you look at them and you say, I don't know. That's just the way it is. And tacit knowledge is what they call the domain of experts. Experts deal in tacit knowledge, and it's exactly why experts make the worst teachers on the planet. Because experts don't know how to tell you how they got there. They just tell you, well, just keep practicing. You know, practice makes perfect. The expert can only tell you practice makes perfect. They know how to do it. They're doing it very well, but they can't give you anything more than just keep trying because that's what I did. Now, the issue is tacit knowledge can be accelerated. It can be learned. We call it wisdom, intuition. Okay, there's other words for it, but we need to understand we can accelerate that, and the first way you accelerate that tacit knowledge is through 3D thinking free fall. You have time set up where you allow chaotic moments in your life so that you will challenge the way you think about your experiences. I mean, couldn't have been more perfect set up, and God couldn't have arranged it better for Diana to say her willow tree story. Because you choose what you're going to remember. You choose what you're going to pull from. And we have to decide how those memories are going to affect us and which ones we're going to draw from. And that's tacit. You're enhancing your tacit knowledge by allowing those chaotic events into your life, chaotic moments. Now, you control them, and I'm not saying you just live a total hectic, chaotic kind of free-for-all, but the idea, even if you study, again, quantum theory or complexity theory, which is a kind of a pet thing of mine, you'll realize real quickly that chaos is actually a good thing. Chaos doesn't mean hectic. It just means unrecognized pattern. Nothing in the universe doesn't have a pattern. Okay? Everything has a pattern just because this is the way God created it, and He is an orderly God. So everything has a pattern. However, the pattern being recognized or not is a completely different story. That's why we say hindsight is 20/20. Well, after it's over, well, now I see why that happened. 20 years later, I say, well, now I know why that happened. But when you're in it, it seems total chaos, and it forces you to think in a different way. So that's tacit knowledge. These are, by the way, I'm going to give you the 3 fundamental elements to the contextual intelligence model thinking. First one is tacit knowledge, and that helps us with our 3D thinking. The second thing is called synchronicity. Synchronicity was coined by Carl Jung. Okay, famous psychotherapist, we've all heard of Carl Jung. Synchronicity is about how we use our experiences. Okay, and what he calls it meaningful coincidences in one of his other writings. And a meaningful coincidence goes something like this. It's, well, what happened to me today? I'm driving home from wherever I was at this morning. I was at university. We had a departmental meeting this morning. So I'm driving home from university. It's starting to rain. I'm thinking about lunch. It's 11:20, and I'm thinking, I want some Chick-fil-A. My wife's gone. I shouldn't spend the money. I don't want Chick-fil-A. I know she went and bought all this stuff for the lunches and my son's dinners and all that stuff. So I know it's all there. And I'm wrestling with myself. Should I eat Chick-fil-A or not? I mean, come on. I'm 45 years old. If I want, anyways. I'm wrestling with myself about if I can have Chick-fil-A or not. I'm driving down 75 and I glance over my shoulder. I've driven this drive every day for the past 10 years. Never noticed it before. Never jumped out at me before. I'm driving by and I glance over my shoulder as I'm spinning by and there's a Chick-fil-A billboard sign right there in 75. And I'm like, deal. Chick-fil-A it is, because that's synchronicity, a coincidence, a random coincidence that collided together with what I was wrestling with to create meaning. And it created meaning for me and actually altered and changed what I was actually going to do Another example, I'm thinking at work, I should buy my wife flowers today. No, you can't buy your wife flowers today. You don't have the money to buy your wife flowers today. You didn't do anything wrong. Why would you buy her flowers today? And I just dismiss the thought and go throughout my day. I'm driving home, Secor, Talmadge Road right there in that area, driving home, look out my window, 1-800-Flowers, big billboard sign. It's like, all right, well, what happened to me is what happens to everybody. You go back 8 hours into the past and you remember the debate you had about should I get my wife flowers or not? And you have that sign, you're thinking what everybody thinks is, maybe something's going on here. Maybe God's sending me a sign, maybe whatever. Whatever it is. And by the way, everybody does. This has been proven. Everybody does it, just to different levels and to different degrees. And then I'm sitting there, and as I'm considering this and thinking about that, in the lane next to me, boom, the flower delivery truck pulls up right next to me. Okay? What am I going to do? I'm going to buy flowers. Okay? That's synchronicity. Now, we all experience this. The question is, what do you do with it? And what does that drive you to do? Because that's what when we think about being creative, when we think about generating new ideas, when we think about going to places we haven't gone before, we do this. There's my time's up alarm. My 15 minutes was way shorter than Diana's 15 minutes. Let me just finish this thought real quick for us. So we do that, and all of a sudden we make meaning out of these coincidences that happen. That's the second piece, synchronicity. We have to learn to leverage that because that is a powerful force in how we decide things. And if we are not aware of it, you won't be able to make the right decision at the right time when you need to. And how to do that, I guess you're going to have to buy the book. Because I was going to tell you, but you're going to have to buy the book. The third thing real quick is the third one is complexity. And complexity is an integrated whole. And the best way to explain that is to compare it to something that's complicated. We say stupid things like life is complicated. Okay, let this sink in, because I said that. We say stupid things like life is complicated. Okay, life is not complicated. It's complex. Okay? Now, 2 PhDs right here. So I'm trying to figure out how it's semantics. Semantics is a big deal to me. So the difference between complication and complexity is huge because something that's complicated is mechanistic, it's Newtonian. Okay, it's put together, and you have individual parts that fit together, and we say things, these metaphors we say in our organizations, we're firing on all cylinders. We're a well-oiled machine, and it's actually not what we what we need to be communicating, because what we're implying then is when a problem comes, or when stress comes, or when trouble comes, I can just take this piece apart and put a new piece in, and everything's fine. Life does not happen like that. It doesn't. Life is complex. It's integrated. It's like Play-Doh. 2 different colors of Play-Doh. And I take 2 different colors of Play-Doh and I mash them together and I mash them together and I mash them together. What happens? I get a different color of Play-Doh. Now all the blue Play-Doh is in there and all the yellow Play-Doh is in there, but now it's green. And I can give it to you and I can say, you know what? I need the blue Play-Doh back, please. And you're going to look at me like I'm an idiot because the blue Play-Doh ain't coming back. The yellow Play-Doh ain't coming out. It's all in there, but it's not coming out. And that's what life is. Life is like that Play-Doh. We're integrated holistically together. And if we start thinking we can solve problems with a complexity-based or a complicated-based framework, it's not going to work. Can't happen. So those are the 3 things. We've got to start leveraging our tacit knowledge. We've got to start leveraging synchronicity to our advantage, and we've got to start understanding that the world is complex and not complicated. And now that's big. And I'm not just dropping these on you like, hey, see ya, bye. That's huge. That is a couple year process to begin to work out what that means for what I think, what I say, how I behave, what I do. And in journaling, by the way, I do every day also, and it's the same thing. I work that out. That's what I think about. These are the questions I ask God. How can I figure this out? And we work through this process, and we have to go through it, but it takes time to realize, okay, well, this means this. This means if life is complex and not complicated, that means even though I've been arguing with my wife the same way for 25 years, I'm not going to divorce her. It has different implications when you think life is complex versus complicated. Because when it's complicated, just get a new part. Just take the spark plug out, get a new spark plug. It doesn't work like that. We can't solve problems like that because guess what? I get a new wife, I'm still miserable and I'm still a jerk. And now I made 2 people miserable. Okay? Because something else is going on here. Okay? So I'm out of time. And that's it for you. So thanks.